Hola, bom dia. Carl Munson here with the Good Morning Portugal show from expatsportugal.com. Those lovely images there, mainly from central Portugal, it has to be said, but I think very representative of the Portuguese spirit, made beautifully for us there by Peter Wilton Davies, who is the unofficial ambassador of Castanheira de Pera, which I passed recently. I have lots to tell you about recent property researching road trips. And of course, today, it's lovely to welcome back onto the screen, and here she is from Savvy Cat Realty. Ana Caramujo, good morning to you. Hola, bom dia, alegria.
Bom dia, Carlos.
I love it. Thank you, giving me my proper Portuguese.
Yeah, you're Portuguese now.
Yeah, officially. It happened here. Remember we heard it first. Oh, what a lovely mug. Can we see that again?
Yeah, it's matching my branding. My lovely Kiki mug. It's my Kiki mug.
And while I remember, I've got a lovely surprise to share with you. We have Gary Austin, who is a mainstay of our community, a pillar of our community. Pillar, I said, not pillock. Pillar of our community. And he has adopted recently a couple of kittens, I think. Brothers, look at that.
Oh, so cute.
I thought you might say that.
Mine were expelled because they tend to make a lot of noise. I don't know where they are. They were expelled.
I think Gary was feeding the mum of this guy. And we've got some lovely pictures of him because I think he's a bit bolder than his brother. Look at him, a bit more of a close-up. Mum, I think Gary took mum under his wing, fed her while she was pregnant, and then she delivered this beauty. Look at that picture there, his little face. Isn't he a beauty?
Yeah.
Absolutely delightful. So thank you very much. Little treat there this morning. That's what happens. Free cats with every house. Here
I agree with that.
Whether you like them or not, the cats are here, and possibly a dog as well. That's how we managed to get our first dog, Peggy, here. She just turned up one day in the garden. So
I
Anna,
think my cats would kill any dog that would come here.
Yes, actually,
I have a very cat.
Yeah, I mean, cats can be quite good security, can't they, in that regard? How are you? I mean, what an amazing time we're having since we last saw you on the screen here. I think your business and your notoriety and reputation has, I mean, not just because you've been on this show. I would like to think that's the case, but I mean, it's down to your unique style and professionalism and the ideas you have about Portuguese property, I think, is what's doing it. What's happened since you were here about a month ago?
Well, when I was here about a month ago, although I had developed the business plan for a while, I only just launched like 3 weeks before the show with you. So it was really, really early on.
Yep.
And yeah, it got a lot of interest. I definitely wasn't expecting to be that quick. I was hoping I would be successful because I do have a lot of knowledge in the area, and I did start this business from a service perspective as someone that has experienced the problems I'm trying to solve. So that, of course, works a lot in my favor, but I definitely was not expecting things to go this fast. So at the moment, I am fully booked for direct clients, and I am already in the hiring process. I already have 2 people that will come in, 3 people that will come into my team. Well, I'm looking for a 4th. And I'm training people in order to be able to take in more clients because I already have a waiting list.
Great. I'm so pleased for you. I really am. And you absolutely deserve it. And you deserve that rather good problem of having too many customers, I think,
Thank you.
because of what you stand for and how you go about this, and the revolution, I'm calling it, in Portuguese property. And you're one of the figureheads of that movement, I think, because there's a little bit of room for understanding.
Yeah, I've seen a bit of other business with similar models, but they are all a bit different for me. I try to be all inclusive, and I have that part where I have fixed fees that is different from anyone else in this market. So I guess that's also why things went pretty well.
Yeah, I'm sure. And before we get into the specifics, I mean, you and I have both enjoyed this new found level of deconfinement freedom. Been out on the road, researching properties, looking around the country, helping people. Before we get into those specifics and answering questions, as people will have, I mean, loosely, we're talking about the best places to rent and buy in Portugal. That question runs and runs because
it's very broad. It depends a lot on each person's specific needs and interests, but some people want to be in the city, some people want to be in the country. Each people have different needs.
Indeed. I mean, we I think it's safe to say this is a great place to come and live and buy property. And as Anna says there, you've got to focus up your needs a bit more, and that's why she exists in this industry, to help you do that and then find you these beautiful places. So ask away with your questions. If you're new to what we do here, Places and Spaces Thursday here on the Good Morning Portugal show, Anna Caramujo of Savvy Cat Realty, revolutionizing the property, real estate, property and estate agency in Portugal. So get those questions coming in. But before we go there, we will talk about our road trips. And also, for people who haven't met you before, what would you say is your unique approach? Excuse me. And this, you if you want to, tell people who you're looking for your fourth member of your team. What sort of qualities and which part of the country, more specifically, I suspect, are you looking for? So tell us about your what Savvy Cat Realty is and how this team is expanding, if you will.
So Savvy Cat Realty is basically buyer agents, and that's something that is widely normalized in the US and Canada, but not so much in Europe, I think. There's a lot of countries in Europe that operate in the same way or similar way to Portugal. And the most agents in most real estate works from a seller perspective. And there's a conflict of interest there because the person trying to sell the house wants to get a higher price for it, and the person wanting to buy the house wants to get the most out of their money, so a lower price. So there's a conflict of interest when someone is represented both. And I just, when I started thinking about it, it just made a lot of sense to, just represent buyers. And that's for two reasons. One is because I just hate those kinds of things when you have to go door to door and just bug people to sign with you. And that's what a lot of agents do here in Portugal. And they can be very intense and commercial because of the way the market operates, and because they only get their commissions if they either have exclusivity or if the buyer buys with them, and they get more commission if it's within the same company, and sometimes they don't get along with other agents, and it's kind of a mess. And usually the buyer is the one that gets the most bad out of this, so the most gets the underrepresented, represented, and also is the one that ends up paying all the fees, because in truth the person who buys is paying the agents too, because the fees are included in the price 90% of the time. Yes. So I figured it made sense to just represent buyers, and even though I would be charging an upfront fee, I would be saving them way more money than I'm charging. And I decided this even before I discovered that's how things operated in the US and Canada. And it just got really well accepted. Especially, I have a lot of clients from the US and Canada, exactly because they already have that model there, and it makes perfect sense. It's actually illegal in Canada for the same person to represent the buyer and the seller. In the US, it's legal, but there's a whole lot of paperwork to fill, and both parties have to agree and understand the conflict of interest and sign waivers and all of that.
Wow. Wow. I think you hit the nail on the head with your phrase, kind of a mess. I think anyone who had any deal with buying or selling in Portugal does get a taste of that mess from time to time. And to me, it seems a shame. You know, I'm not very critical of Portugal. I'm known as the Portuguese Pollyanna. But one area where I can actually see some room for improvement is the area of property, because it doesn't need to be like this. I mean, I think it's historical, possibly a bit cultural. It's a habit, isn't it? And you're part of breaking up that habit, which I think is good for the country. It's better for the country's international reputation with people coming over, right?
Yeah, I don't know how it operates in the UK, but I know it's a lot more regulated than here in Portugal. But I think things also mostly operate from a seller point of view, right?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah. And the buyer again is it feels like the one on the outside, struggling to get a good deal. I'm not aware of buyers agents in the UK, but you know, again, like here in Portugal, there are people thinking, hold on a minute, this is kind of a mess. It could be a lot better. It could be more service oriented rather than commission oriented, which is how it seems to come across.
Yeah, it is. And it's also the way the agencies operate that really, really bothers me, because they literally target people that are in tough positions and have been unemployed for a while. Like, you will go on the road and will go by ERA and Remax billboards asking if you are unemployed, if you want to make extra income. And they just focus on desperate people that really need to sell rather than, you know, qualified people that know about either, I don't know, things related to property and are aware of how things work, or just, you know, architects, engineers, and people related to construction would also make a lot of sense of agents. But no, they just hire completely random people, which of course, I think opportunities is a great thing. However, they should be providing training, and the training they provide is very, very basic and mostly sales focused. They just give them like the pointers towards what's legal and what's not, and a bit about energy certificates, even though a lot of agents that try to downplay that, and that's basically it. Well, before I became an agent, I bought property, and I went to several viewings as a client, and I tended to be rather surprised with the agent's lack of knowledge.
Yes, yes. And I think it's important to say here, by way of some sort of defense or explanation, really. It's an explanation. And this is what Terence was saying. Terence joined us last Monday. The show was about taking decent pictures, photographs of properties for selling properties.
That's another very annoying thing. There's so many bad listings.
Yeah. I'm not going to get you started on that. Suffice to say, Terence was making a defense of agents and people who are trying to make a living in Portugal. Is that it is this is a hard country to earn a lot of money. You know, the minimum wage is very low. You can understand why there are desperate people in the job market and why they gravitate towards real estate. And that's a lot of why it's like it is, I think, is because we're in a very unfortunate economic situation that causes that. But having said that, you wouldn't want that from your chef, would you? Or your brain surgeon, for sure. You know, like I need to earn money, so I'll just go into cooking food for people. You need to have a lot more than just, you know, the need to not starve yourself and feed your family. Although that's a very valid point, and I can understand why people are desperate to sell houses, because they have to feed themselves and their families, and that's what needs to change. I think that's part of the cultural change.
Yeah, but that's also because of the way agencies work, because most people don't sign with exclusivity in Portugal, and that's because most of them know or had bad experience before, or just don't see the agents as qualified. Or, for example, we tried to sell a property in exclusivity before, one of our properties, family. And we just were stuck with that contract for 6 months, and they didn't sell, and they didn't feel like they put in the effort because they had the exclusivity, and we were just stuck for that period. And that leads people to just not want to have exclusivity, because in the end, if more people are promoting your house, it's more likely that the more buyers will see them, and one of them will be buying it. So most sellers end up not doing exclusivity, and the problem that creates for the agencies is that the agents only receive their part of the commission if they sell to either the buyer or if they represent the seller in the sale. So that means that they will try to hide a lot of things about the property, like the location, the view, which can be extremely annoying. Like some properties have amazing views and they're not listed because the agencies don't want the people to figure their location and go and bypass them. And also another problem that creates is that agents are working for free until they make a contract. So they can be promoting and doing everything from their property and they won't get paid unless the buyer buys with them.
Yes, yes. This is an amazing uncovering that we're seeing here, and you're going straight into that space. As I say, I don't think revolutionizing it is too strong a description. Basically, those bad practices, as we can understand why they've occurred, but they do need to change, I think, for the sake of the industry and the country's reputation abroad with foreign buyers. And Paul makes a good point. Buyer beware. Not just the buyer of the house, but the buyer of estate agency services. When you're selling, you are buying your estate agent services, aren't you? So we need to all be part of changing that, I think. So it's great. It's always interesting talking to you, Anna. And this is why people love, how you go about this, I think, and your insight with this. From Norway, Bon dia alegria. From Milda, from Jonesy in Oregon, Bon dia. There's going to be a lot of these, Anna. This is a time to take a sip of your coffee if you want to. Penny over there in the UK, Bon dia alegria. Sunny here in Brixham this morning. Oh, morning, Faulty. She's saying good morning to me. I've cast myself as the Basil Faulty of the retirement home that we may create. I need to speak to you about a nice big property where we can put up with possibly 10 aging British expats. What could possibly go wrong? The Faulty Towers in Portugal, probably in the Algarve actually, which is like the Torquay, I guess, the closest to Torquay you'll get here in Portugal.
That's a funny thing to say because my partner is Turkish.
Oh, as in from Torquay or Turkey?
From Turkey. Oh, yeah, I thought you said Turkey. Sorry.
This is before. I've picked up hitchhikers in the UK who've said they were from Turkey, and I'm thinking, wow, this is amazing. I've got sort of very exotic passenger in my car. Actually, they're just getting back to Torquay in the southwest. Paul Richards, greetings from Harrogate. Wow, maybe the doors of Portugal could be opening sooner than we expected. Tell us what you know, Paul. We need to know that sort of information. What have you heard? Robert Ryan is here. Morning all. Bon dia. Bon dia from Kimberley as well in Cornwall. Hank over in California. Rapidly reopening California. Yeah, it's as though the powers that shouldn't be. Sorry, did I say that? The powers that be have a change of heart here and are just sort of flicking a switch rather arbitrarily. Sunny Wolf. Hola, bon dia from a sunny Teignmouth. In the UK as well. Peggy's here. Prosecco Peggy from the Algarve, the aforementioned Algarve. Fiona Worrell is here. Morning, Peggy. Morning, everyone. You might like to join us tonight, Peggy. We are having our cost of living special. The webinar tonight is comparing the cost of living between the US and Portugal. Peggy, you've always got something useful to contribute to those conversations, so do please join us tonight with your unique insight. Morning, everyone, from Fiona in the Ribatejo. Denise saying good evening because, of course, she is in New Zealand this morning. So many people turning up to hear you this morning, Anna. Bon dia, Carl. Anna, Peggy from a very non-Portuguese British weather, misty, wet hillside this morning from Pete. Good morning, Pete and Di. Lynn, lovely. That's a great way to start. Lovely bon dia. I have this is about the pussycat I showed. I have a mother cat about to give birth. I've been feeding her outside, so we'll be looking for homes for them in a number of weeks. You know where Lynn is if you want a cat. Julia, right here, I should add. Hola, bon dia from Julia. Grassa, donna grassa is here, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Bon dia from Louise, who has questions for you. And a very interesting question for you, Anna, in just a moment. Louise and Paul in the UK, Bon dia alegria, beautifully sunny here. Very good. Good for you over there in the UK. Glad the weather will be better tomorrow. That's Louise and Pete chatting about the weather as Brits typically do. Bon dia from Alcobaça, beautiful part of Portugal, of course. Pam, our Ask Our Expat representative over there in Alcobaça. If you want to find out more about the Silver Coast, talk to Pam via our website, expatsportugal.com. Right. This sounds like a complaint, Anna. As I can't get help with property from Anna, as she's too busy. Harumph. Can I ask another question? Anna, where do you get your eyebrows done? Serious question.
Actually, I was just talking to Carl before that I put one of my eyebrows too high before we started. So that's a funny thing to say. Yeah, I did it myself. So yeah.
Okay. There you go. There's your answer. All sorts of help this morning from Anna. Bon dia, alegria from the wonderful Filomena Friday. Filomena Pascual, good morning to you. Bon dia, alegria. And Donna's here as well. Bon dia, todos. From over there in the is it? Oh, I forget now. On the spot here, Madeira or Azores. I think it's the Azores. Bon dia from a sunny Midlands in the UK. Wayne, he gets about. Christina P. Bon dia. What are the average property prices in Portimao for a T2 or a T3? Straight in. Do we want to answer that right now?
Well, it depends a lot on what kind of T2 or T3 you are looking for. If you are looking for something modern and recent, I would say 180 to 100K would be expected, T3 a bit more. And if you are willing to renovate, you can go a lot lower than that, like 140, 130, 150 for a T3. But yeah, you will be needing to do the renovation yourself.
Okay, great. There we go. Keep those questions coming. Another one from Louise. Is it worth getting on Anna's waiting list if I'm planning to look to buy it in a few months' time? How long is the waiting list, Anna?
Well, I have no idea how long it will take to get to everyone, but I am doing my best to get my agents to start taking clients. So the model is basically now agents are being trained personally by me, and they will be taking the clients based on their location of expertise. So if it's the Algarve, it will be with my Algarve agents that have been living there for years now and worked in tourism and will know the area very, very well. And they're also terrible negotiators. Seriously, that lady is a good negotiator. And so I will be forwarding clients according to locations to the agents, and depending on finishing up with the clients that I have directly, places will open up to work directly with me. I'm planning to open taking calls again by the last week of this month, and I don't know, probably I will be able to take 10 to 20 clients, depending on how comfortable I am with the agent training. And then if there is more people than that, I will have to start training someone else. The clients I currently have, I only have 3 people that are ready to buy and are already here. The rest of my clients are only going to buy from June on. So I won't be having that many spots opening for me directly. And that's also because besides this business, I also have a Viking tavern that I'm reviving. And yeah.
What? There she just chucks this casually into the conversation. I also... How often are you talking to somebody when they say, yes, and I've got my Viking tavern that I'm opening? Did I hear that right? You are opening a Viking tavern?
Yeah, I'm opening a Viking tavern. Actually, that's something that I had all planned out before the pandemic started. I already had the place looking because I have a Viking business, and it operated mainly on medieval fairs and festivals. For 2 years. We started in 2018, and then the pandemic came, and at the time I was looking at opening a bar in Porto, and I'm very glad I didn't buy it right then, because, well, now it's the prices are going down for business real estate. And so I'm also taking that opportunity in a bit, and I'm hoping to open my Viking bar, later this year. It will depend on what I find, because I will definitely be needing to renovate the property, because apparently no one wants to sell things that are already just trespassing business, and that's not what I want. I just want to buy the property.
Amazing. You will keep us informed. We need to get you back for a separate interview, I think.
And it's actually one of the problems I have been experienced with that's driving me crazy. It's the goddamn pictures of the listings, because especially in business listings, sometimes you have one picture of the outside of the building, or sometimes even of the square it is in, and zero of the inside. Sometimes they don't even tell you how many square meters there is, and it just drives me crazy.
Well, I think Gary's getting into the spirit of this. I mean, is it going to be a kind of raucous atmosphere where there's sort of Viking debauchery and, you know, lots of fun?
Yeah, it's kind of the idea. So if you can check, if you want to check, the business is called Taverna Drakkar with 2 Ks. So Drakkar is the Viking war boats.
Yep.
And we already have an online store, and we sell mead. So that's one of the main things. It's Viking handcrafts and mead. And yeah, the whole idea is to have the whole Viking spirit, and to have days where we are literally dressed up in traditional Viking wear and have competitions of drinking from horns and stuff like that.
There you go. Can I wear my pelts? Yes, you can wear your pelts, obviously.
Definitely wear your pelts.
Yes, you can't get in unless you are wearing a pelt.
I do have drinking horns, and I do sell them. And I also have engraved ones.
And dear God, we must have flagons of mead. And can someone shout that? More mead over here.
It's cool.
Yeah.
I actually don't have my horn right here because I do have my personal horn.
Oh, this is so mead, says Gary. Bring us mutton on the bone and swords. I'm seeing another side of so many people this morning. I make a fantastic sparkling mead.
Yes, I do have sparkling mead. It's one of our main products. I love our sparkling mead.
I bet that gets the party started, doesn't it?
Actually, I would go get it, but yeah, it's literally on the other side of the house. So.
We will have a Viking special. And obviously, what you can do for expats is you can burn their longboats, literally. But they definitely stay in Portugal when they arrive. So Anna will probably be doing Viking longboat burning ceremonies just to make sure you stay in Portugal. How amazing. Okay, well, we'll do. I think when you get nearer to opening, maybe I could come and dress up as a Viking and do the show from there.
If you want, sure.
Perfect. Yeah, I mean, with some sparkling mead at 9:30 in the morning, that's going to be amazing. So, Louise, keen to point out she wasn't complaining. Okay, maybe I was making that a bit more dramatic than it actually was. But she has a great question as well. When you're training your people, because people really like this about you last time, is that you're an intuitive person and you check out the vibes of a property. Is that part of the training for your team as well? The bad juju?
Well, that depends a lot on the people directly, but the people that I do have some people that are able to do that, but not everyone is sensitive to that. And I can tell you right now that my agents in Algarve, that's not their specialty. However, if that was something that was needed, I could take a look myself. Obviously, it would be hard to go there directly, but on the training phase, I will be needing to take a look myself, mostly because there's a lot of things I need to train them on location, as in problems to detect in property, what to pay attention when they're viewing, the finishings, and all of that. And that's kind of thing that comes with experience. So that's one of the reasons I'm not taking that many direct clients, because I still have to have time to accompany the agents I'm training in their viewing. So in this initial situation, I will be doing many of the viewings with them.
Okay, that's fantastic. And I'm just thinking, part of the training might be, or when your agents turn up to assess a property, they say to the owner, could you just give me a moment, please? And they stand in the hallway and tune into the property. And
that's not really, I don't know, that's not really how it works, at least not for me. If I go to a place and there's something bad in there, I just know right away.
Okay, well, I'm going to make it a bit more dramatic. I'm going to stand in the hallway and just tune in. And the seller might just awkwardly stand there thinking, what on earth is he doing? Louise, I think I found a beautiful property for you yesterday, right up your street. So the question about Anna was, yes, I think it's worth joining her waiting list. And the funny thing about waiting lists is, like, you know, this is taking too long. But the reason there's a waiting list is because she's good and it's worth the wait. So that's what I would say about that to anybody who wants to join Anna's waiting list. That's what waiting lists are for, isn't it? For whatever it is, the great public schools, the excellent medical procedures. You have to wait because people are good, and you get on the list and you wait for your turn. So get on early, folks. That's the other thing to say, I guess. If you're watching from North America and you want to use Anna's services, get on the waiting list now ahead of time. Don't leave it too late. Well, that was euros you were talking about, I think, wasn't it? With the
yes. Well, we're in Portugal, so euros will be the standard. But there's actually an interesting thing. Going back to that Portimão price thing, my lawyer is from Portimão, and I was just talking to him 2 days ago, and he was telling me about occasionally houses popping up for like 100K, and usually in those situations are people that really are desperately in need of selling fast. Yeah. And that is happening a lot now because of COVID. Lots of people are in tough situations, either because their business is stuck, especially in the Algarve that lives a lot of the tourism industry. Hotels and everything has been closed for over a year. So there's a lot of people on tight spots that just want to sell fast.
Yes. So there is an opportunity, sadly, based on the difficulty in society at the moment. But yes, I mean that's the truth of it. Let's have a look, Julia. Great question. What is the best way to find 1, a good lawyer, 2, good inspectors? I'm guessing that means surveyors, and 3, good contractors to provide estimates during the buying process. Quick answer to that is hire Anna, I suspect. But what chance do people have finding a good lawyer? Because you do hear of nightmares on that side of things as well, and even solicitors representing both parties, which should never happen, right?
Well, when it comes to lawyers, they do have to pass the bar exam, and they are bound to keep up their practice. Otherwise, they can lose their license. So it's mostly a matter of experience and, just being comfortable with the person. But I think getting recommendations is usually a good way, because that way, at least it's more likely that that person knows the person and has worked with them, and more likely that we will have a good experience. Yeah. However, there is databases for all of this, for lawyers, inspectors, contractors, not so much, but for lawyers and inspectors, there are databases because they are required to be licensed, and their licensing shows up on the public database for their respective practice. So if you are looking for a lawyer or an inspector, you probably can search the public database on that area and see who pops up, and just see if you like any of them, and just ask around.
Of course. Yeah, and go to, I think, you want to finish that question, obviously, but go to...
contracts. Yeah, contractors are a bit trickier.
Yeah, of course. Well, tell us more.
So yeah, contractors are a bit trickier because how do I start this? Because there is a lot of bad practices in the constructing business too, and the good contractors do tend to be filled up. Yes. So once again, I usually go around finding contractors in one of 2 ways. I either go to new property, which is convenient in my way of line of working, and I just see what kind of things, if the property is well constructed, if they kept their timelines and all of that, and that will usually tell them if it's a good company or not. And then I talk to the company and see if they are available to do renovations and other things when I need it in that location. And that's a good way to find good contractors. And the other way is to go around architects and engineers. I have last contractors I hired was through the architect that developed a project for me, and I recommended that contractor because they had worked with them before, and I really liked that architect because she did a great job on the project I needed. So that's how I go around finding contractors. But once again, recommendations are great, but don't always pull through. My grandmother, for example, had a terrible experience renovating a house in Lisbon that someone recommended to her, and they just, scammed her.
Oh,
They
dear.
put terrible materials and charged for the good ones, and well, it wasn't the person who recommended, because of course she also didn't know, but yeah.
Of course. Won't be using them again. Okay, so
Definitely.
word of
I
mouth.
think
And
they ran the country. Yes, actually, they did that to a bunch of people and just ran off to another country.
okay, so as Paul says, buyer beware. You have to be careful. And yeah, I think there is a temptation to do things on the cheap, which again is asking for trouble. I think probably it's best to be more modest in your aspirations and pay good people and have a more modest project than overstretch yourself and run the risk of.
Well, yeah, that's a good way to go around it, but do keep in mind that whatever budget you have, it's very, very likely that the things will go over it.
Absolutely, what fine, isn't it, with property? That's the drama of every property show on TV, isn't it?
It's mostly for renovation and constructions. That happens a lot.
Indeed, indeed. And of course, go to our business directory at expatsportugal.com. Ask for the word of mouth recommendations on the forum as well. And you can get a discount on the services of many of our partners at expatsportugal.com when you become a premium member over there. So we are here with the Portuguese property Q&A, looking at the best places to rent and buy. I mean, the best places in Portugal, really. It's part of the conversation. But to answer that question, we need to know the specifics of what you're looking for. So do let us know in your questions. I think there is a consistency in process in USA, Canada, and UK. Portugal seem to differ by municipality as well as a country, says Wayne. We have just sold and bought with no involvement from estate agents at all, aside from getting our UK property on Rightmove, which was only £99. Okay, and is that because of how you feel about the industry, Pete? I wonder. What is the best way to work on aggregator sites like Idealista? I've had some mixed success on getting contacts to return inquiries. That's another problem, isn't it? You are lucky sometimes if you get a response from people, Anna.
Yeah, that's true. And actually, that frustrates me, especially with agencies, because their interest should be selling, and sometimes they just stall, and it's very annoying. But when it's direct listings, sometimes people take a while to come back to you, but they usually will. When they don't, it's likely because they are no longer selling, or just the property is no longer on the market for some reason, or that already has been sold.
Yes.
So when it comes to real estate agents, they tend to be faster when you think you are a direct buyer. But it depends a lot on the agencies, because sometimes they also stall a bit. I guess it's a bit also because of internal organization. There's also some issues sometimes because when I was selling my apartment in Portimão, I got completely flooded with calls because I made a private listing on Idealista and Imovirtual when I first decided to sell it. And within like 3 or 4 hours of that listing, I got like 20 calls from agents. And my phone just wouldn't stop ringing. And all of them wanting to sign my house and offering exactly the same thing, which was rather annoying to me.
Yeah.
And some of them even started calling me people from the same agency. And I would pick up and they say, oh, I'm whatever from this agency. And I'm like, I think I already signed with that agency. Oh, really? Then I can't sign you. What a shame. I really wanted to. And I'm like, so they don't even have that organization within the company, and the agents are just competing against each other. And it ends up just being a bad experience for everyone involved. Just for me as the seller, it was just annoying getting everyone just on top of me and not really offering any different service, just offering the same. It's basically promotion and marketing services.
Yes.
Which I did need because my father was in the hospital at the time in Coimbra, and I just couldn't stay in Portimão. So yeah, I needed someone to go and show the apartment. So I was open to agencies, but not to exclusivity. And in the end, I think like 12 agencies got to list my apartment. And I did set up a fixed price, because otherwise I got people, agents that would just come to me. Okay, so you want this money for yourself, but if I put it more, do I get the money myself? And I just looked at them, no, you just sell it for this price.
Oh, a fascinating insight. This is Anna's own experience here. That must have been part of your inspiration to change this.
Yeah, I hated that experience. I really did. And actually, that kept me away from entering the real estate market as an agent, because I just didn't like how it operated until eventually I figured I could do it differently.
Yes, yeah. Julia, I don't know if that is an answer to your question. I mean, it's just kind of more horror story in a way. You know, you do need some professional help by the sound of it to sort of save you from that kind of ecosystem, if I can refer to it as that. Anna, bon dia to all. Morning, Basil, from Gary. This is much earlier. So Gary, also loving your coffee mug. Is that a part of your merchandise on your it's not very
No, this is actually from a Gothic store.
A Gothic store. That might be another time. A good local lawyer should be able to recommend the other two contractors, says Paul and Louise. That's quite a good shout. Recommendation, word of mouth, as Anna said. A bon dia from New York City this morning from Mark and someone else, Philomena, really appreciating your coffee mug this morning. There's a big difference between opening up.
I'm a tea person.
Oh, a cup of tea there. Very nice. There's a big difference between opening up within Portugal and opening up to be internationally, and the potential for Brazilian and South African variants to be introduced and spread. Okay, that's with the opening of borders there. Donna, of course, in Terceira Azores. My second guess was right there. Edmundo, can you join us next Monday, Edmundo? Me and Frank, we need to talk to you, and we haven't managed to do that yet. Bon dia from Villamora, Algarve. Let's hear from the taxi man, Edmundo, on Monday, I hope. What is the best way to get comparable recent sales pricing for areas in Lisbon? I've ordered Idealista reports, but their price estimates were wildly out of line. Have you experienced this?
Yeah, that's the problem with that, is most of those estimates are made based on the listing price, and the listing price do tend to be inflated. Both Idealista, even the program I'm paying for, that is Casa Fari, that's only for agencies, and I pay for it trimestrally. Quite a bit, and it does work like an MLS system, so it removes the overlap and does comparison. It also lists all the agencies that list that property on the same listing. It's very interesting for comparison, because literally I see it rather often, the same property with different prices, and sometimes it's like double the price in one agency, and it really bothers me. And
Yes.
Another thing I noticed through that program that I didn't have access when I was a personal buyer is that a lot of properties stay a very, very long time on the market because of all of this. And that's for two reasons. One, people are greedy and want to sell for more, but then they can't, and it just stay with things for a long time. And it's kind of silly, because they will just sit on it and pay taxes because they don't want to take a price that it's actually fair on the market, and they are over pricing it.
Yeah.
And also because of the agency problem of the listings not being good, as you know, not good photos, hiding locations, and that also doesn't contribute to things selling fast. And I see a lot of listings that have over 300 days on the market and things like that. Even 1, 2, 3 years, it's not uncommon. Of course, that will depend a lot on location, but for Lisbon, things are a bit more fast-paced, so it won't be as common. But for less popular areas, it's kind of crazy how long listings stay on the market. In regards to the pricing and those comparisons, as I said, the problem is those kind of statistics are made based on the listing price and not on the actual selling price. So they will mostly not match the reality, because people in Portugal, you know, that thing was I said last month of throwing the clay against the wall to see if it sticks.
Oh yeah.
That's basically it. And yeah, so a lot of things are overpriced, and the ones that are fairly priced are usually people that really need to sell fast.
Yeah.
So that affects the statistics a lot. And even for me, that I'm paying from the program, I still don't take those statistics very seriously, because they are based on the listing prices, because they don't have access to the actual selling prices, and it's actually in the interest of the agencies to kind of hide that. The only people that has access to that is the registries. And I think in those regards, probably the statistics from the National Statistic Institute will be more accurate, because they are based on actual transaction prices.
And not all the hype and marketing. Very interesting. Mark, so would you say then Casafari is a good recommendation for Mark in that case?
Well, Casafari is only for agents. I have to pay monthly to get access to it, and it's only for agencies. They don't give access to the public.
Right.
I'm guessing that if they did, it would be very interesting. It would kind of break the market, because it removes all the overlap and gives the thing I like the most, as I said, is it's putting all the listings from the same agencies under the same listing, so you can see the different prices and when they were listed. Yes. And it also shows the delisted, so how long it has been in the market, how long it was posted, if it was if it has been on hold before and it doesn't go through. So I get to see all that information. So the two things I like the most about it is that, and the how many days on the market part, because that's very interesting. But yeah, it's only for agencies. They don't sell it to private, and I guess that's also because of the way the market operate, because if they did, they would be kind of not helping the business model of most agencies. And well,
okay,
in order this way, I guess they can just charge more.
Yes,
for us agencies.
I get it. So Mark, I'm thinking there, I mean, again, it points back to getting some professional help, you know, somebody who's got your interests at heart, that takes you out of the heat of the hype and the marketing, and word of mouth. So again, you know, jump on the forum, expatsportugal.com, go to our forum, and just get the real experience of people and the word of mouth recommendations. And I would say get some professional help, because it is hard work doing it yourself. Not because you're not capable, but because you're working in a very strange and overhyped and unhelpful and unprofessional sometimes place when looking on sites like that. Anna sounds amazing. I think that's about your Viking bar. Cindy, Christopher, your opinion on buying in Tamar. I am doing a scouting trip in late September, hopefully. Thank you. And aloha from Oahu in Hawaii. I've got
that's an interesting place to move from, to Tamar.
Yes, why would you do that, Cindy? We can ask you that question, but what do you think of Tamar? I mean, what a fantastic place.
Yeah, I've been to Tamar like 2 or 3 times as a visitor mostly. Yes. And it's a small town, so like the prices are usually rather accessible, especially in the surroundings. And if you are looking for something quiet with mostly hot weather, I think it can be a really nice fit.
Yes, yeah, I love Tamar. It's where I first ended up. When we came over actually for a house sit first of all, and it was a fabulous place to land in Portugal, and it can be very hot in the summer there, but it's a beautiful city. Is Tamar, with so much going for it. I drove through last night, and actually, if I may for a moment, let me just share something with you. This is what you've got in near Tamar, and it's a terrible video, I'm sad to say, but this is just like 20 or 30 minutes away from Tamar. You've got the amazing rivers there, and you've got the Castelo de Bode reservoirs. And this, it looks like a stream, unfortunately, but I'm up on a bridge, really high, up on a bridge that I just had to stop the car and share this landscape with people. These are stunning landscapes around, well, they're all over Portugal, but this is one of the really, really nice side effects, if you like. The added value of Tamar is you're only less than half an hour away from beautiful, stunning scenery like this, like breathtaking scenery. And you're thinking to yourself, you know, I could be in Switzerland or Germany, or, you know, and again, part of the underestimation or undervaluing of Portugal. Sorry if that video is not that brilliant, but I just wanted to share with you, because we were talking about this before we came on air, weren't we, Anna? The incredible beauty of this country that is often not sung about.
Yeah, and people only know, most people just know, you know, Algarve, Porto, and Lisbon, and there's so much more to this country. There's so much beautiful locations, and it's a very diverse landscape from north to south. So it's just, when you're here, you don't lack things to do. If you don't just lack exploring, there's so many things to just visit, and so pretty, and with different communities and different cultures and different traditions, because Portugal is in the end of Europe, and pretty much all the conquerors that's been through Europe and conquered the peninsula ended up here. It's like, oh, it's the end of the way, so just to settle. So that's a really big mixture of cultures here in Portugal. And even the Vikings, we have Viking settlements in the north too. So that's a bit of everything. There's Arab settlement in the south, and Algarve was part of Arab. Part of the Algarve was Arab country in before we became a country, and then was conquered. Yeah, with lots of different interesting things to see.
Absolutely. And Cindy, seriously, tomorrow I would say is a great investment. It's in my top 5 of places to visit and consider. I don't know if it's in your top 5, Anna, but yeah, definitely, Cindy, do that. Question from Paul now for you, Anna. Can you do a complete transaction from start to finish from remote buyer, not in Portugal? So this could be a situation you're facing at the moment. Can you do that?
Yes, you can, but you have to pass a lawyer letter to someone here to give them the powers to sign for you.
Yep.
And you can do that to your agent like me, or you can do that to a lawyer. It depends. It's just really needs to be someone you trust in order, because you will be buying something sight unseen, and that's always a risk. Yes. So what I do, most of my clients do intend to come to Portugal and do the signing themselves. So I usually just do holds for them until they come. But I also always do video showings of the properties, so at least they know what they're getting as well as possible. Yeah, it's possible, but it's risky.
And done via power of attorney, which is probably the answer to this question from Pete. Anna, how are you going to get across the problem of opening a Portuguese bank account for those not able to get in the country? Just wondering.
So in order to open a Portuguese bank account, you just need a NIF number, and you do need to sign the paper. So it's the same thing. The problem is the signatures. So you need to pass someone the powers to sign for you, and you need the NIF number. Supposedly there's a way to get the NIF number online now, but I don't know how well that is working. Okay. And you need to send all the documents to the service in order to do that.
Life begins with NIF in Portugal, everybody. Do people get sparkling mead when they sign the contract in the end? Is that how you celebrate?
That's actually a good idea. If they do want some sparkling mead, I can get them some.
Excellent. Gary's loving this idea of your Viking bar. Frank, the mysterious exotic from the east, or a very lost Persian with an incredibly bad sense of direction. He's got us in character already. Oh, I'm very excited for your pub, says Mark. So it's becoming
I'm really looking forward to opening that. Yeah, it's been on hold because of the pandemic for so long.
Yes, I think we're all going to get there. We'll have an Expats Portugal meetup if we may at your place. Where do you post the properties that you find? A good question, Paul and Louise. I don't have an official sort of listings page or anything. It's just inevitable that people suggest things to me and I come across things. So just PM me, just drop me a line and stay in touch that way, or WhatsApp me. I think everyone knows the number now. Definitely worth the wait. Thumbs up there for jumping on your waiting list. Ted Stern, good morning from Moscow in Russia. Could you tell Putin to settle down a bit? Is asking Hank. If you've got the ear of the boss there. I have some friends in UK getting nervous. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. So we're dealing with global geopolitics here on the show this morning. Well done, everybody. If you could just pop into the Kremlin, that'd be great. What's your contact details then for you, Savvy Cat?
Yeah, I would say get in touch through contact@savvycatrealty.com or just go directly to the website or social media. The website is just savvycatrealty.com, and in social media I'm through with the same name. So it's really easy to find. It's just Savvy Cat everywhere.
Savvy Cat everywhere. That's the idea of the global franchise, possibly. Stephen Greaves, take a look at Moe. It's the online bank for Credit Agricole, fee-free online opening. They're all at it now, aren't they, Stephen Greaves? They're jumping into it. Ativo is the millennium version of that, of course. Revolut, I think, is fantastic too, but I guess wouldn't count.
Actually, where is it? I just ordered a card, like Revolut promotion right now here. Actually, I always advise Revolut and TransferWise to my clients because it can save them so much in just fees for exchange rates.
Yes, I've got to recommend Spartan FX as well. Great company who we speak to once a month here as well as a contender in that space for transferring large amounts of cash. Spartan FX. We had a recommendation for a good builder from our structural engineer, then checked out the builder via the local builders association. Good move. Excellent. Write that down, folks. That's a very good recommendation about recommendations. Is there anyone who has successfully installed a damp course in an older Portuguese property to stop moisture being drawn up walls at ground level? Is this something that comes across your desk to deal with, Anna?
Well, that's mostly on engineering. I do include in my service just the recommendation and just consulting to minimize the problems and maximize the odds of everything going well when you are doing construction and renovation. But when it comes to specific materials, it's always better to consult an engineer, but I do help with screening and finding people and drawing the contracts and just giving an overall view on how to go about that. But when it comes to specific materials, it's out of my areas of expertise because that really does require an engineer.
Okay, but you presumably can help point people in the right direction.
Yes, I include that in my service, just the consulting on how to go around that and help with drawing the contracts and finding the persons to do that.
Perfect. Should you seek permission for add-ons like pools or outbuildings before buying?
No, you even can't. You can only get the licenses for that kind of thing if you own the property. So you just can't approach town hall and say, I want to build a pool there, but it's not my house.
Simple answer then. That makes sense, really. Of course, I guess you could get the owner to do it for you. Just signed up for Discovery Call. Ready to go, says Julia. Fantastic. Yes, you need to have the licensing from the municipality, but yes, only if you're the owner, as Anna's pointing out there. Bon dia from Andrew. Thanks for joining us. Edmundo will be joining us tonight for the cost of living US versus Portugal call. Should be fun tonight. Bon dia. I've got some, actually, hopefully, with any luck, I've got Donna and Jim joining us who have just arrived and are living in Lisbon. And I want to hear from them with their bright-eyed and bushy-tail honeymoon period as they arrive in Portugal. So it'd be lovely to have them, US folks, on the call tonight, singing the praises of and telling you about what it's like to land in Portugal. Hopefully you can be there, Donna and Jim, tonight. Bon dia from Claire. I put the Casafari link up. That's probably for you agents rather than for anyone else. Seen a villa in Algarve listed for many years. Prices dropped slowly, but still way too much. Andrew holding there, waiting to see if it drops into his budget by the sound of it. Wait until Purple Bricks reaches Portugal. We'll see about that. I mean, full transparency here. I'm an EXP agent. And I think they're doing something interesting, sharing a lot of ethics that Anna has. are new into the country. But it takes time to change these things. It really does. Umberto Gonçalves Casafari only has the biggest agencies. Many times smaller local agencies have much better prices.
That's not true, actually. I've been on Casafari and I was afraid that would happen. But there is a lot of agencies that are already integrate into their system. I know they are fairly recent, so that may be the reason why, but they are actively getting more and more agencies, and I have been able to find there a lot of small agencies too.
Cool. Excellent. Good news there. Thanks, Umberto, and thank you, Anna, on that. Bon dia from Helsinki this morning. Great talks as always, Carl. Anna, moving to Sintra in August. What does Anna recommend? Short-term furnished and buy in 2 months. Can you help? What is the advice here? Well, first of all, what do you think of Sintra?
I love Sintra. It's a beautiful location. It does tend to get very foggy, and it's expensive. So the most expensive locations in Portugal are probably Cascais, and Sintra is not far behind. Okay. So do expect high prices. And when it comes to short-term renting, it can be tricky because most people either do holiday rentings or they do long-term rentings. It's hard to find a middle term for a very simple reason, and it's taxing. Because for long-term renting, you have to pay something called the stamp fee, and on a month of rent, and you only do that each time you have a new contract. So if you do medium term, that will be ending up being more because, well, it will just apply to those 2 or 3 months you will be renting. And when it comes to holiday renting, most people do it for weekly or daily, even though more people are willing to do it on medium term now due to the circumstances. But medium-term renting can be very hard, also because the renting market in Portugal is very fast-paced, because there is a lot of demand. There is much more demand than offer, and the holiday rentals didn't help with that. In reality, the Portuguese economy is not very functional at all, and most Portuguese people can't afford to buy a house, and that's one of the reasons the renting market is so fast-paced. So most owners list their renting properties on a ready-to-move-in basis. So things just go really fast. You list a property for renting in the market, and it will go away in under a week most of the time.
Yeah, given that Rina is looking at Sintra, she doesn't need to rent in Sintra, does she? I mean, what areas around Sintra would you recommend to get a furnished place as a short-term rental?
Yeah, that's a bit of tricky because the areas around Sintra, there's actually quite a few bad neighborhoods if you go towards the Lisbon side, and if you go towards the other side, it's kind of a nature reserve, so there isn't that many options.
Okay.
So it's kind of tricky there around Sintra.
Yes. I guess it depends on, you see, for Americans, they'd be happy to probably, be an hour away and think that an hour in the car was just a little commute. It depends on your scale, doesn't it? So, I mean, certainly, you may have to go beyond where Anna's talking about there, Rina, but you wouldn't have to necessarily be in Sintra, although obviously it sounds like you want to be immersed in the culture there. So yeah, some good advice, a little bit challenging. Do you think
but actually I want to mention something else that is in these situations when people just want to rent short term and then buy, I usually include the rental assistance in the buying fee. Because it's just all related, and it just that makes no sense for me for people to be paying for 2 services. And I'm actually considering, that's something I'm currently working on, to get a network of properties that I would be having available for medium-term rentals. I do have a lot of things working in my favor, as in my family owning a lot of real estate, so I'm trying to convince some people to leave some properties available so I can do medium-term rentals for my clients in this kind of situation.
Stay tuned. That's such a good idea. Is it also true to say that some people now, because of the crash in tourism, would be open, let's say, Airbnbs to a bit of a deal?
Yeah, and more are willing to rent medium term on Airbnb, but it will still mostly be more expensive. And since you are expats, they will always tend to give a lot higher price. I have some clients from Sweden that are doing that right now. They were looking to get a rental, but didn't like any of the properties, and they just agreed with the owner of the Airbnb they were in to do a monthly rental. But the cost is still much higher than the cost for renting a non-Airbnb property would be.
Yeah, in the past, it's been useful to get yourself a Portuguese virtual assistant to make that call. So pick where you'd like to live and make an offer on an Airbnb. Get your Portuguese VA to ring up and say, look, I'm representing somebody, and I know that this is an inflated price. These guys want it for 6 months. Here's what we could do, and you'll get some discount on that basis. I've actually experienced that, and that might be
it's very likely.
Okay, that's fantastic there for you, Rena. There's your advice. We'll be in Nazaré next week. We'd love to meet one of your folks. Have cash. She's trying to jump the waiting list. Flashing.
Actually, in that area would be me. So I'm living in Caldas. I'm the one closer to Nazaré right now.
Okay, all right. So you two can talk, but it sounds like you've got to go on a waiting list, Julia. Nice when somebody is working for the buyer rather than the seller. When the seller is paying the cost, clearly go where the loyalty goes. I mean, that's right, isn't it? It's follow the money. Umberto Gonçalves, it's Celtic influence can still be seen up here in the north. I'm from the north. Great to have your company this morning, Umberto. Tell us more about yourself. Cindy Christopher, grateful for your answer. Andrew saying we were in Évora yesterday, a stunning city.
I love Évora.
Yeah, cut short due to the huge rainstorm. It was pretty rainy across the country yesterday, and I think that will continue.
The past few days, even here in Caldas, the weather is usually a bit all over, but it's been raining a lot for the past few days.
Yeah, same here in my part of central Portugal, Anadia. This is why central Portugal is so wonderful. All this along with history, culture, and we are central to all other parts of the country, so never far away from anywhere. The ambassador for central Portugal speaking up there. That pub is going to be badass. When is it opening? I want to visit when I come on my month-long scouting trip. So what's your forecast for getting open?
It will depend on when business are allowed to open, but I'm currently looking at properties I would have to renovate, so I don't think it will be opening before September, but it does depend on what I find and how fast I find it. Yes. Because as I said, the listings are kind of driving me crazy.
Yep. So you're struggling in your industry there.
Yeah, because I don't know, it's just a business property thing. The listings just tend to be terrible.
Yes, yeah. Okay, in commercial, because that's another world altogether, isn't it? So, Carl, expats bus, expats old folks home, and an expat pub. Can't wait. Yes, come on, Paul. We're looking for investors as well, folks, for this. I might have to pitch it in the Cockerel's Coop. To get the big the consortium together to make this a reality for us in our dotage. Banco Credito Agricola, easy way to open a bank account, says Edmundo. Nice tips there. Stephen, a fan of Revolut and TransferWise by the sound of it there. Stephen says damp proofing is a scam. You need to fix the groundwater. Another view on things, probably one to discuss with buildings engineers there. Living in an old Devon stone property built on earth, experts recommend never getting a damp course. Render internal and external and run off directly outside the walls. So it's getting very technical there with damp courses. Andrew Gilchrist, thanks for that, Penny. With older stone buildings, you can inject resin into the walls to act as a DPC. They also do this in the UK. Look at all this damp course talk this morning. Did my NIF and bank account remotely through a lawyer. Super easy. Use the Notarize app and have my documents notarized digitally. Very good. Thanks. A good tip there.
Actually, I didn't know that was possible to notarize something digitally. Good to know.
Notarize is the app. There you go. I think you could do it with Adobe as well. I signed some documents myself the other day.
But that's usually not valid here in Portugal because, the government hasn't catch up when it comes to legality. They really like, things to be original and hand signed.
Yes, indeed. We have noticed this. So if that works, that's a nice precedent to have been set there. Thank you for that, Mark. Bom dia todos from Jenny. A question: how do you find good house insurance? We have an insurance partner. Winsurance.pt is where you should go, Johnny, to research that. Okay, more questions. A few new viewers today. I keep sharing the page. Thank you, Edmundo. Thank you, working for us on our behalf. That's great. Thank you very much. Agree with Stephen, sort out the groundwater issue first. It's obviously inspiring people to speak of their damp problems here. We literally have a river flowing through the house in winter, sorted drainage behind the house. Now no need for a damp-proof course.
I actually know what that is. My father's property in the village is built over a watershed. So
what's that? What, like
basically there's a watershed right under the house.
Okay.
So yeah, lots and lots of moisture, and the isolation wasn't properly done, so it's kind of chaotic now. We literally has, you know, how do you call it, that green mushy thing growing on some walls?
Oh, the moss.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, yeah, I guess that can be marketed as a water feature. Sintra area. Why is it tricky in this? I think that's probably just cost, really, isn't it, that you were referring to?
Yeah, it's also because there's some. It's not the Sintra area directly, but some areas around Sintra and close to Sintra. I can't remember the names right now. I'm just they aren't so nice when it comes to neighborhood. The Sintra area itself is great, but it's expensive. But you were saying before, suggesting to go to the surroundings of Sintra. But the surroundings of Sintra can be tricky in regards to neighborhoods. They have some bad neighborhoods in the surroundings.
Terrific. Okay, thank you for clearing that up. We're looking for a good firm to design and install solar PV and air heat exchanger powered heating and cooling systems in our house near Caldas. How do we find a firm with up-to-date expertise? Do you know of such a place as someone who lives in Caldas?
No, I would have to do some research on that, but I'm sure there are a few options. Solar power is becoming more and more popular, and I think that's a great thing. Portugal is overall a sunny country, so definitely should take advantage of that. Yeah. I do not recommend to do the deals with EDP because I know some people who did, and they didn't get very good deals on the regards to sharing the solar. Yes. So it's actually better to store it yourself. But when it comes to recommending a company, I'm not comfortable with doing that right now, as I don't feel I have enough research on the topic.
However, Paul and Louise do, and they're recommending ENAT, I think, for solar PV. Expats forum post on the subject, recommending other firms too. So go to our forum, Kathleen, for more help on that. Good morning from Gulzendur. Good morning. I would be interested to know what your experience is buying property, apartment or a house in Madeira. Are you going to the autonomous regions, Anna?
I do plan to go there eventually, but right now I don't have anyone there, so I'm not operating in Açores and Madeira, but I do want eventually to get an agent there, but that's more on the long-term plans, maybe something like 6 months, I don't know, because it's not a priority right now, and I would have to go there to train them. So
yes, focusing on what needs focusing on right now rather than spreading yourself too thin. Excellent. I'm living in Guimarães, but born and raised in Vieira do Minho. Beautiful part of the country. Also lived in Porto, Lisbon, Munich, Reading. That's quite an addition to that list. I've been around, says Umberto, who is here, I think, helping out a client and making his our acquaintance on behalf of a client. You're very welcome, Umberto. To clarify, the digital notary was of the custodial certification of the documents as are true copies, not the documents themselves. Okay, thank you for that clarification. Bom dia a todos from Ian. Thank you for your extra video, setting the bar high for us with our growing old disgracefully videos and guidance, Ian. That was fantastic to receive yesterday. We'll be launching that soon, growing old disgracefully, staying well and fit and healthy as you get older. We'll be doing that very soon. Bom dia a todos. Do buyers normally use surveyors to inspect what they are buying? So I'm guessing you're going to be asking for that, right, Anna?
Yeah, that's not common here in Portugal. Most people don't go through that trouble, but sometimes they really should, because there's a lot of things that tend to be hidden, especially in older properties. As the older it is, the more unlikely there will be registries of how the construction was made. Only in property that's like under 20 years old, things will be properly registered with the materials and all that. Before that, it's a bit of Russian roulette. You never really know what you're getting. So yeah, definitely recommend getting the property inspected, especially in those cases. I do my best to inspect the property and use my knowledge to minimize the probability of something going wrong in the future, but I'm no engineer. And I do bring engineers over at request of clients and try to keep the cost down as much as possible, and just go and have someone properly qualified to check things and make sure, or at least give an idea of what the costs would be to solve the problems that are existing.
Terrific. Okay, that's really good. We will talk. I think we need to conclude and finish soon. We've worked you hard this morning. Lots of comment about damp courses and people swapping details of best suppliers for solar panels and so on. So thank you everybody for chipping in and helping out. Humberto actually pleased with his EDP deal, so fair enough. It takes all sorts for sure, and currently trying to get out of Reading. It's Steve. Can I do an interview with Joseph Marsh? Absolutely. He's a good mate of the show, is Joseph Marsh. Yes, that's a really good shout. Let's have a look. What else have we got here? Reading. Reading is on the agenda. I was there for 1 year. Live right next to the Oracle. Amazing. Okay. And a funny one here, before you tell us about your recent road trip and sing the praises of that particular part of Portugal, Anna. I saw a village, says Andrew, in the Alentejo with the name Cabeça Gordo. Is there really a place called Fathead in the Alentejo?
Yeah, probably. There's a lot of funny names in the country. If you go towards the map, there's even weirder things. I can't remember any right now, but there's some very curious names all over Portugal.
So there you go. Would you want to live there? That's a different question. So where have you been? Just as we conclude today, where have you been just recently? Because you post up these wonderful pictures of your travels.
No, I've just been to my father's village. So because I hadn't visited family since December because everything was closed down, and the districts we weren't able to pass the districts and weekends, and my partner works during the week from home, so we weren't able to go anywhere in this past 3 months, almost 4. And I just, as soon as things open, I just went to visit family, and I actually hadn't finished moving because I moved to Caldas in December and I still had things to pick up there. And yeah, I just posted a bit of the village and the views around it, and that's where my father's property is, and where, if everything goes well, in a year or 2, I will be starting doing the project for a rural charm hotel for my father's property. That's the big goal here, to get that done. But yeah, it's a really nice location because it's very well located. It's really close to the highway and really close to Aveiro. So I get there in 5 minutes by highway and like 15 minutes by national road, or even less depending on the traffic. Okay. So it's a very convenient location. It's 45 minutes to Porto. And it's most people don't know it, even the locals don't know it most of the time, the locals from Aveiro and so on, because it's a very small village, and you are able to buy very cheap property there. For example, my uncle was telling me that he sold one of our lands there that had construction potential for 10K. So,
wow. Okay, so this is a real good tip for people, because Aveiro is very popular, isn't it?
And actually, it would be very easy for me to get good deals there because, well, it's my father's village, and villages, everyone knows everyone. So I would probably be able to get you directly to any seller because everyone knows everyone.
Indeed, incredible. And is this the right area that we're talking about here? I've got a picture. Is this sunset here? Characteristic of the area. This looks to me like an Aveiro region sunset. Is that the sort of view you'll have in this part of the world?
You don't get that view directly from the property, but if you walk for like 20 minutes, half an hour, you get to the Baixo Lagunar area. So that's a swamp area. That's a natural reserve. And it's actually very known for bird watching. It's a very popular nesting location and lots of migrating and all-year birds there. It has a lot of storks. It's very funny when you're going by in the highway, like the highway signs have like 5, 6, 7 nests all over.
Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. So it sounds delightful. I mean, that to me does look like an Aveiro district sunset. It's so beautiful up there, and that is an amazing tip for us. So Fermila, is that right, the pronunciation?
Fermila. Yeah, it's close enough.
Fermila. And that's the family home. Amazing. Okay, so well worth a look up there. Anna, thank you so much. You've been amazing value again as ever this morning, and look forward to talking to you again in your monthly residency with us.
Yes.
Join the waiting list, folks, and I'm just going to put your contact details.
And I also will be on the webinar on the 29th.
Excellent. Webinar on the 29th with the ever popular Anna here, who you can contact and join the waiting list at contact@savvycatrealty.com, or just go to savvycatrealty.com to make connections. We are also so looking forward to raising a Viking drinking horn and saying skull with our pals.
Next time I'll bring my meat. Yeah, we should do a Viking one. I'll get all Viking dress up and everything.
Yes, okay. And anyone who's already got their Viking outfit sorted out, send in pictures in anticipation of that. Have a great day, everyone, says Andrew. Thanks, Anna. Wonderful show, says Hank. Anna, thank you so much for being here. Take care. Bye for now. Hasta luego. Ciao, ciao.